going to read a little Wikipedia here. So the Boeing F-18E is a revision to the original McDonnell Douglas Hornet. It's about 20% larger, and it has bigger, better, almost everything really. It's manufactured between 1995 and is still made today. 630 or so have been made already. It has a length of 18.3 meters and a wingspan of 13.6. It can go Mach 1.6, and it's obviously an aircraft carrier capable multi-role fighter. So it does have a 20 millimeter rotary cannon, and I'm not sure which side it is. I think it's on the right side, so I think maybe it's there. But it has 11 hard points for payload. So fuel, bombs, missiles, whatever it might be. Interesting. This thing has carry 5 external fuel tanks and can be configured as an airborne tanker. So it's capable of carrying enough fuel to actually refuel other airplanes. So that's quite interesting for a fighter aircraft. Never knew that before. So that's all I cared to learn about, and here's some pictures of real planes with this livery called the Dam Busters. Alright, so let's look into this in a little more detail here. Actually, the model before that, we might as well talk about the packaging. It's nice packaging. It tells you, this Strike Fighter Squadron 195. This is the single seat version. I'm pretty sure they make a double pilot version. I just haven't bought it. I thought I'd build this one first. The decals, you can run a couple different liveries based off of that image. And yeah, you can run these too. Alright, so now looking at the instructions, gives you all that information as usual. And I totally forgot about it. These wings can fold up, but the mechanism's so poor that I ended up gluing it shut because it didn't work right. It would actually try to stretch out the halves of the wings when you fold it up. So, and I also thought the decals would have to be cut, which they would be if you wanted it to fold up. So, not very great. This is all fine. Unfortunately, the missiles, they're split in half. You gotta glue 2 halves to make a missile. It's kind of annoying. They do give you the option to have the flight mode, with no landing gear, just have covers, so that's nice. And they have these really cool pilots with the body. You could have 2 different arms. The head, the helmet, a big visor. So that's kind of neat, but I used a different head from a different Freedom model kit. And here's some ordnance layouts, and that is it, the color coding. And then they give you a separate piece of paper for the decals. Right, so anyhow, pretty good. Alright, so now back to this. Let me change the angle of videoing. I drilled a little 2mm peg hole here because I'm going to have my own 3D printed stand hold this thing up. This little hook that grabs an aircraft carrier can pivot, so that's nice. This is a decal here. You have to wrap around. Alright, so the landing gear, you might want to, I had to scrape the paint off to get them into those holes. I don't think this kit is designed to actually be glued together. I think it's supposed to be a friction fit thing. Extra dust. And then the paint for this is Vallejo water-based paint, and I clear coated it, but it was a little shiny, that matte clear coat that they make, Vallejo. So after the clear coat of that, I rattle canned it with some matte finish, and that dulled it down quite a lot. Alright, so the wheels can actually spin, at least the rear ones, but the clear coat closed it all off. So the front ones, though, I don't think they can spin. No, they could. There's actually an axle on one tire that goes to the other one. But unfortunately, the wheel and tire is a single piece of plastic, so you gotta be really careful painting that stuff. Same with the rear. I wish the wheel and the tires were separate pieces that just slid over each other like, die-cast cars do. It's interesting that you go on these pieces and they have a little groove, but I can't figure out in the instructions what would go into that groove. There's extra stuff it came with, extra ordnance and whatnot, but it's weird. I assume these are 2 additional points to carry fuel tanks, but I guess it just didn't come with those fuel tanks, so maybe that's why. This decal here was too long. I had to cut it. It was so long that it was touching this surface. And then I'm not sure if these things are supposed to be longer to go here, but they weren't long enough, so that's just the way it ended up. It's very interesting. I'm not sure why this plane has everything pointed outwards. You know, it seems very unaerodynamic. Please leave a comment if you know about this real plane. Why would they point everything off to a different direction instead of keeping it all parallel like every other airplane I've seen in my life? So that's interesting. It really threw me off why everything was going off in these like 5-10 degree angles. Very strange. Alright, I didn't bother adding black paint in there because I'm afraid I'll get it on the sides, so I left it alone. And clearly I got some lint under the clear coat. And I also messed up the decal here. This, you'll notice here, is on this groove, but on the other side it's way back here. It should be here, I believe, and I just wasn't paying attention. It is an absolute miracle that I got this decal to lay down. It's one decal, this long green thing, yet there's this giant hump here, which I assume is used to help open this cockpit on the real plane. So I ended up cutting it with a hobby knife so it could kind of get around it. And I must have applied Mark Fit by Tamiya, the super strong stuff, like 10-20 times on this to finally get most of those air bubbles out. I kind of wish this decal should have been like 2 pieces or maybe 3. So it's just one long one here and one long one there. And it was too long, by the way. I had to cut the ends off of both sides to get them to end here. So, yeah. Alright, this is a little gappy because I'm pretty sure, again, they have a 2-pilot version, which would have a different piece of plastic there. The decals on these verticals, they're a bit long. They have that clear stuff, you know, like most decals do. So you gotta wrap it around, let it dry, and then put the other side, and then wrap that over the other one. But it's really hard to do. Ideally, if you're gonna put these things on, you'll actually trim off the clear part of the decal, so you don't have to deal with that. Yeah, see, there's a little bit of that clearness right there. I was just too lazy. And so here's the hinge that I glued shut because it just didn't look very nice unless I push it together with glue. And then a really strange design decision, these end things here, they have the missile built into it. Like it's half the missile in this rectangular carrier, and then the other half of the missile glues onto that. But it's so poorly done. Like, see, there's no bulge here for a missile. It's just weird. It came with some extra long missiles that I didn't put on because it just looked weird. So I decided to go with bombs. And it did come with this, I believe, this little electronics pod, but it didn't come with anything different for this side. And it looked weird to have a long missile here. So I took this from a different model kit by Freedom also, and I put it on here. So yeah, so there's a mixing of some parts from other model kits here. Those are fine. I put some AK Interactive jet exhaust paint or whatever you want to call it on there. I think that's it. Yeah, I think so. There's a lot of decals. There's a lot of molded details as well, so it's quite nice. It just takes a really long time. Like, if I had to guess, this took over 10 hours to build, maybe 15 to 20, because of all the different... It takes like 2 hours just to lay the decals down, maybe longer, because this one is so difficult. And then painting all these components and stuff. I also, I don't know, maybe this could have been a lighter gray. It's just the gray I had, so that's what I went with. So let's take a look at a few other carrier-based deformed planes. So Hasegawa has this A6 Intruder, and it literally looks like a smooth egg with panel-lined wings on it. So I kind of wish they had panel lines on the egg part. Freedom did this F4 and it's pretty good. Nothing wrong with this. It's just cool. It's a cool thing. It has the pilots are a little less detailed than the pilot that comes with this. It's just less parts, but you can paint them to still look pretty nice. So another egg plane. We have a Harrier. And this, I like the proportioning of the short wings with the body versus the long wings of that one. And the last one is a Top Gun Chen F-14. So I paid extra to have this one painted and paid extra for the figures, Maverick and Goose. And yeah, it's a bigger plane. These I think can all kind of hang out with themselves. Well, actually, you know, this is such a big model. It actually, nah, no, I don't think the F-14 is very much bigger than a Super Hornet. You know, if this is a regular Hornet, maybe. So, yeah. Scaling, obviously not a big topic when you talk about deformed vehicles, but it would be nice if they were all the same scale. But it's hard. Everyone has their own idea of deformation, I guess. As you can see, you can't actually have that hook flush with the body unless you clip off some plastic, but I'm gonna leave it alone. Anyways, if you're into like a highly detailed deformed airplane, this is definitely up your alley. It's just that it's gonna take time to put together. There are a lot of parts, and I think a lot of some weird design decisions, in particular those end missiles. They just, oh god. Alright, well thanks for watching, appreciate it. We'll see you the next time around.